I'm very glad actually we have the chance to talk about this topic here in Mauritius, because it's not something that is on the everyday news, IPv4 depletion and IPv6 technology. Some of you, perhaps those that have been following the development of the internet, have probably been able to be informed by now that the internet has run out of numbers, which is something that has been unthinkable from the time the internet has been designed, because the IPv4 address space gives us many billions of numbers, and no one would have ever thought that we would actually run out of such a huge number of address space. But we have, and we need to think about what we do next. And we also have to bear in mind the new development, the evolution of technology. In the past, an IP address was used for a computer, but now an IP address may be used for your camera or for your mobile phone. So what I'm saying is that the number of devices is no longer restricted to computer, but is taking all sorts of form, and therefore the requirement for IP address space is much larger than before. There's a lot of effort for the uptake of IPv6 in our region. The internet probably took off last in Africa. Africa has been lost on a lot of things, including internet development. And when you look at the allocation of IP address, IPv4 allocation, if you look at the allocation by continent, while the US has the lion's share, Africa has a tiny slice of that. So I think the message, and the reason for that, of course, is we were lost aboard the train. And with IPv6, we have a chance to be at par with the rest of the world. And we should not make the mistake that we've done with IPv4, and we should embrace it right now in all our communities, to make sure that we are prepared, we are ready for this new technology. The role of AFRINIC in the uptake of internet in Africa and the development of internet in Africa, there has been a false perception in our region that IP address is very hard to obtain. And I remember myself when I first started an ISP operation in 2001, when the internet was liberalized. I started the operation with just 8 IP addresses that we got from Mauritius Telecom at that time. So there has been, and that has been the perception all over Africa, that IP address resources before the advent of AFRINIC is something extremely scarce that we have to beg to get, and once we get it, we have to use it in such a way that we kind of preserve it. Of course, you cannot get IP addresses to just anything you want, but as long as you can justify the need for it, it's not difficult to get IP address within the African region. And that is, I have to say, goes to the credit of AFRINIC, because in the past, the continent was divided into three regions. The Northern Africans, they had to look up to RIPE, which is the European Registry for IP address. The Sub-Saharan Africa, they had to look up to ARIN, which is the American Registry. And for us in Mauritius and Indian Ocean region, we had to ask for AFRINIC. And now we only have one organization, which is much closer to the operators here. They have public meetings twice a year, so they meet face-to-face with the grassroots operators. And I think that has contributed tremendously to the development of internet in Africa.
Today more than 35 countries in Africa to provide free IPv6 training. In total, we have trained more than 1,000 engineers around the continent on how to implement, how to manage the transition on IPv6. Our training program for 2011 is on the way, and we receive requests from countries, from operators to host the training session. And we flew instructor and engineer from AFRINIC to go and provide that training. So we understand that the awareness and capacity building is a critical element in adopting IPv6. And studies shows that the biggest cost of deploying IPv6 is not about equipment, it's not about the technicality of the equipment, management, but it's about the skill of people who will run the network because it's a new protocol. So we are putting a lot of effort on training, on capacity building, and we are extending that effort toward government as well, because we want government to understand the challenge, to understand the situation, and being able to set policy
What would
and
prevent other
regulation
regions
that
will run out of IPv4 faster than us to try to get space from us?
yes, as I said, all the other regions will run out. Well, but in Africa, AFRINIC will still have IP addresses. So the risk is that organization and operators from those regions run to Africa and try to grab what we have. There are several answers to that. The first is that we have developed in our region a policy developed by the community, by the operators, which is called the soft landing policy, which prevents any organization to use IP address from AFRINIC region outside the region. So even if an organization comes to AFRINIC to get IP addresses, they cannot use that IP address outside of the region, unless they develop a network in Africa, which is fair. Then they are contributing to the development of the internet, which is good. But if they don't, they won't be able to access it. The second thing I usually say about that is, well, we are saying, yeah, we will be the last one. I said in our region we banned 16 million IP addresses in 1 year and a half. Other regions banned that in 3 months. So if all of them, 3 months, come to Africa and take all we have, it will last what, 1 month? That doesn't buy them, really doesn't buy them a lot of time, because after 1 month they will find themselves in the exactly same situation that they were. So obviously IPv6 will come to their mind as the obvious solution, because it buys them more time, it allows them to be more at their ease in developing their network. So we have that policy that prevents us as AFRINIC to allocate IP address to organizations that are not operating in our region. Secondly, rushing into our resources doesn't solve the issue, the global issue, because it doesn't buy more time to operators generally. And you know, people do the calculation very easy. The time it will take them to set up an organization in Africa, set up their network in the region, to justify the criteria that we have, that cost compared to what it will take them to deploy IPv6.
The only way for all those having a device or an equipment with IPv4 is to get back to the operator?
Yeah, I mean, to get back to the operator or the vendor to make sure that the device is IPv6 compatible. Now, if it is not IPv6 compatible, there is two possibilities. Either the vendor provides upgrade, which allows you to upgrade your device, the software or the what we call the operating system that run your devices to support IPv6. Most of them offer that for free. Either it is not possible because the device is so old that it cannot support any increase. In that case, unfortunately, you'll have to change device and buy a device which is more recent and support IPv6. So yes, you check, but then it depends on what the vendor provide and how you can use it.
You know, I think this has an interesting implication it has a regulatory implication for countries within Africa, because clearly it is in the interest of governments to encourage their communities, their people to take on the new technology of IPv6. And one of the ways to do that would be to make sure that vendors, that suppliers of services provide IPv6 compliant services. Like I know in Mauritius, for example, if you import radio equipment, you have to have it type approved. That could also be part of the type approval process, where if you buy an equipment which is an IP-based equipment, that it is IPv6 compliant.